What if I told you that Alberta's housing market is pulling in two completely different ways? We have Calgary, once the hottest market in the country, is cooling fast. Meanwhile, Edmonton is quietly building momentum and just passed Calgary in the year-over-year price growth by the largest margin in nearly 2 decades. This is all happening while Calgary sales are falling, Edmonton prices are rising. So what's actually going on? And to figure that out, we are going to be breaking down the data behind Alberta's growing housing divide, what's driving the strength in Edmonton and the softness in Calgary, and more importantly, what this means for you if you're thinking of buying, selling, or investing this spring. Because Alberta's housing story is anything but simple. Real quick, if we haven't met, my name is Richard. I'm a Canadian real estate agent, and I break down what's really happening in the housing market with data, insights, and none of that fluff stuff. This channel is all about making Canadian real estate easy to understand, whether you're buying or selling or just trying to make sense of it all. So if that sounds helpful, hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. And so what's happening in the market right now? Well, to do that, let's look at the numbers that set the tone for March. Starting off with the sales volume, which both cities saw minor sales decline month over month, where Calgary and Edmonton both declined 2%. But year over year, the difference is quite clear. Edmonton sales are up compared to March of last year, and Calgary sales are down nearly 20% when compared to that same time period. So we are seeing a bigger surge of supply in Calgary that's pushing active listings in Calgary up over 100% year over year, where Edmonton's inventory is still sitting at decade lows at 8%. Then moving on to the sales to new listings ratio, Calgary is sitting at 58%, which is the lowest it's been in 5 years. Edmonton is at mid-70s, which translates into a very strong seller's market because this metric tells us how fast the market is absorbing new supply. And so Edmonton is tight, but Calgary is loosening. The next thing I want to touch on is price trends and construction activity. When it comes to pricing in Calgary, March saw its first price drop since 2022. Though in Edmonton, prices continue climbing, which is now 11 percentage points ahead when compared to Calgary. This kind of gap hasn't happened since 2007, and it's a clear sign that Edmonton's market is outperforming Calgary's in both price momentum and resilience. Then when it comes to construction activity, Calgary had a slight monthly increase in total units under construction at 1.5%, which is mostly due to rental units, which had an increase of 8.3%. Edmonton had a similar increase of 2.7%, which was also mostly rental driven at 6.2% increase. The real story though is when we strip out rental units and focus only on homeowner supply, Calgary is in what analysts would call a danger zone, a level of construction that historically precedes resale slowdowns. And Edmonton is still building cautiously, a sign that demand is rising without matching a surge of new supply. The question I ask myself is, why is this difference happening? And it really comes down to affordability. Because when we look at Calgary's price surge, which happened between 2022 and 2023, it made it less affordable, while Edmonton has remained one of the most affordable major cities in Canada. So that price cushion does make a difference, especially with interest rates still elevated. Simply put, more people can afford to buy in Edmonton, and that's what's driving that stable demand. One thing to mention as well is the population growth, which both cities are benefiting from the interprovincial migration. But more newcomers are choosing Edmonton due to its affordability and just lower cost of living. This makes Edmonton's current growth feel more organic and sustainable. We've covered a lot here, so what does this actually mean if you're thinking about making a move or buying a property somewhere? Because while Calgary and Edmonton may share a province, they're moving in two very different directions, and your strategy should reflect that. So let's break it all down based on who you are, whether you're buying, selling, or just looking to invest. And so if you're buying, I'm going to start with you first. In Edmonton, acting sooner rather than later might be a benefit. Inventory is still tight, demand is steady, and if rates drop, competition could heat up. Now, if you're selling, this part's for you. In Edmonton, my advice would be to price smart, prep your home, and if you're under $500,000, expect solid interest. Homes that show well are selling quickly. And if you're in Calgary, you need to be strategic. Buyers have more options, so overpricing will lead to longer days on market. Focus on strong presentation and competitive positioning. Now, if you're an investor, I'll finish up with this. In Edmonton, it's still one of the top cash flow markets in the country. We have steady rent, price growth, and positive equity trends make it a compelling long-term play. Though in Calgary, the market is transitioning. Cash flow is tighter short-term, but if you're in it for the long haul, the fundamentals remain solid. All that to say, Alberta's housing market isn't one size fits all. Calgary's adjusting, Edmonton's accelerating, and if you're active in either market, Understanding the local conditions have never been more important. If this update helped you make sense of what's going on, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on next month's report. And if you want to see how today's trends evolve from last month's, check out my previous Alberta update. I'm going to link that video right here, and while you watch that, I'm going to go fly some drones.